For years, we've wondered when the most dominant driver in F1 history would finally say enough is enough. Well, at this 2026 Grand Prix, Max Verstappen just stopped playing the game of PR and told us exactly what his future looks like. It happened in the back of a crowded press room, just a few words that sent a literal shiver through the paddock. He looked at the cameras, and for the first time, he did not look like a man who wanted to be there. He said he has achieved everything he ever wanted, and maybe it is time for a different life. This is not just another silly season rumor. This is the moment a legend confirms that the era we thought would last forever is coming to a cold, hard stop. People are panicking, and for a good reason. We have seen internal documents from Milton Keynes that reveal a project in total freefall. The 2026 engine project is not just behind schedule, it is a disaster. Max knows it, and now he is making his move. We're talking about a man who has lived his entire life at 300 kilometers per hour. He does not do things halfway. When he says he is done, the world stops spinning for a second. The atmosphere in the garage has shifted from one of victory to one of mourning. Every mechanic knows that the fire that once burned so bright in the number one car is starting to flicker. We are witnessing the slow death of a dynasty, and the cause of death is written in technical blueprints that were never supposed to see the light of day. There's no more hiding the truth behind a clever marketing campaign or a glossy social media post. The reality is staring every member of the Orange Army in the face. The hero of the fans is exhausted. He is tired of fighting the politics. He is tired of fighting the machines. And most of all, he is tired of pretending that everything is fine. The rumors about the departure of Max have been circulating for months, but seeing the exhaustion in his eyes makes it real. This is the end of the road for the most successful partnership of the modern era. But to understand why Max is ready to walk away now, we have to look at the secret meeting that happened in Milton Keynes just 48 hours before the lights went out. Winning 3 world titles in a row makes you feel invincible, but the 2026 regulations have a way of humbling even the greatest. Behind the scenes, the Red Bull Ford partnership has turned from a dream into a technical nightmare that Max can no longer outdrive. To understand the frustration, you have to look at the power unit itself. The hybrid system is failing to harvest energy correctly, and the battery cells are overheating after just 5 laps. For a driver like Max, who lives for perfection, this is like being asked to win a marathon while wearing lead boots. He went from being a winner who could dictate every race to a man just trying to survive a car that is fundamentally broken. The RB22 was supposed to be the successor to the most dominant lineage in history, but without the magic of Adrian Newey, it is a twitchy, unpredictable mess. Max expected a weapon, but he got a trap. He is pushing the limits, but the car is pushing back in all the wrong ways. Every time he hits a curb, he is wondering if the engine will just shut down. It is a level of stress that would break anyone. The telemetry tells a story of a driver who is overcompensating. He is braking later, taking risks that he never had to take when the car was perfect. You can see the wear on his face during the post-race interviews. The weight of the team is on his shoulders, and the team is failing him. Red Bull Ford was supposed to be a statement of independence. Instead, it has become a ball and chain. The internal projections for the engine performance are missing their targets by nearly 20%. In a sport where a tenth of a second is an eternity, 20% is a death sentence. Max is not a passenger, he is a predator, and a predator cannot hunt if his claws are dull. The frustration is boiling over into the garage. You can see it in the way Christian Horner avoids the cameras. You can hear it in the silence between the engineers during the debrief sessions. They know they have built a cage for the greatest driver of the generation. It is a technical prison made of carbon fiber and faulty software. The Ford partnership was promised as the next big thing for American fans. It was supposed to bring the technical might of Detroit to the precision of Milton Keynes. But the marriage has been rocky from the start, the power delivery is jagged. When Max asks for throttle, the engine hesitates for a microsecond before delivering a surge of torque that upsets the balance of the car. It makes the RB22 almost impossible to drive at the limit. Every lap is a gamble, every corner is a fight. Max is done with the excuses. He is done with the promises of a fix that never arrives. If the car is broken, the driver looks for an exit. And we have found the specific clause in the contract of Max that makes this possible. If you're sitting there feeling the same knot in your stomach that every fan of Max has right now, you're not alone. Watching a champion fight a machine that does not deserve him is the hardest part of being a fan. If you want to see exactly how this technical collapse is forcing Max out of the sport, join this community. because we are digging into the data that the official broadcasts are too scared to show you. Most fans think Max is locked into Red Bull until 2028, but that is not what the fine print says. Our sources have confirmed a performance based exit clause that is officially ticking down as we speak. This is the part of the story that the big networks are too afraid to touch, because it involves the legal machinery of the most powerful team in the world. The contract of Verstappen is not a simple document. It is a living, breathing thing that changes based on the results on the track. If Red Bull stays outside of the top three in the standings after the summer break, the Golden Boy is free to walk away for $0. No buyout, no legal battles, just a clean break. It is a nuclear option. And based on the current telemetry, Max is the one reaching for the button. Look at the GPS data from the recent sessions. He is pushing the car into areas where the engine is most likely to fail. He is not just looking for a lap time, he is looking for a failure report. Every time the car derates, it is another piece of evidence for his legal team to use. It sounds cold, but this is the high stakes world of professional racing. You can see the panic in the eyes of Christian Horner during the leaked recordings of the technical meetings. He knows the clock is ticking. He is begging the engineers for a miracle because he knows that without Max, the brand of Red Bull loses its luster. The team is trying to put on a brave face, but the internal chaos is reaching a breaking point. Imagine the pressure on the mechanics. They're working 20-hour shifts to fix a car for a man who might already be halfway out the door. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. There is no more laughter in the motorhome. There's only the sound of data crunching and the silent realization that the greatest era in the history of the team is about to evaporate. Christian Horner has spent years building this empire, and now he is watching it crumble because of a few lines of text in a legal document. The irony is that the same success that made Max a legend is now the very thing that gives him the power to destroy the future of the team. Max is playing a dangerous game of chicken with his own employers. He is forcing them to admit their failures in a public forum. Every time he complains about the power unit on the radio, he is building his case for the FIA and the contract lawyers. He is documenting the decline in real time. It is a calculated surgical strike against the stability of Red Bull. The fans in the stands see a driver who is struggling, but the insiders see a driver who's winning a much larger battle. This performance clause is the ultimate leverage. If the team cannot provide a car that can beat the Ferrari and the McLaren, by the time the circus reaches Europe, the contract is effectively void. This is why the upgrades for the next race are so critical. If they fail, the most valuable asset in the sport becomes a free agent. The paddock is already buzzing with the implications. Every team principal is checking their budget. Every sponsor is wondering where the number one will be next year. The landscape of the sport is about to be reshaped by a single decision made in a boardroom in Milton Keynes. But here's the part ESPN won't tell you. Max is not just looking for a new car, he is looking for a way to rewrite his entire legacy. He is looking for a new mountain to climb because the one he's on is starting to sink into the ocean. The truth is not that Max is tired of racing, it is that he is tired of racing for a team that lost its magic when Adrian Newey walked out the door. We have all seen the headlines about his potential retirement, but that is a smokescreen. He is not going home to sit on a couch. He is looking for a new kingdom to conquer. We have seen the first evidence of where he is heading next, and it is a name that will send shockwaves through the industry. Max is in secret talks with the people at Aston Martin. They have the money, they have the new wind tunnel, and most importantly, they have the ambition that Red Bull seems to have lost. Or think about a reunion with Honda. They are the ones who gave him his first title, and they are coming back with a vengeance in the new era. Max sees what is happening at Ferrari. He sees Lewis Hamilton making the move of the century, and it has acted as a massive catalyst. It made him realize that loyalty to a failing project is a death sentence for a career. This is the biggest twist in the history of the sport, and we want to know what you think. Does this move to a new team make you respect Max more, or do you think he should stay and fight for the legacy of Red Bull? Drop a comment below and tell us if you saw this coming, because your theories are usually just as good as the data we find. Max is not looking for an easy win, he is looking for a rebirth. He wants to prove that he is the one who makes the car fast, not the other way around. If he can take a team like Aston Martin to the top, he moves past being a great driver and becomes an icon. The assumption that he's just looking for a break is a total misunderstanding of who Max Verstappen is. He is a winner, he needs the noise, he needs the speed, but he needs it on his own terms. Look at the way he is interacting with the other team principals. The handshakes are lasting a little longer. The conversations are happening in the open, not behind closed doors. He wants Red Bull to see him talking to the competition. He wants them to feel the pressure of his impending departure. It is a psychological war that he is winning lap by lap. He is showing them that he has options while they have none. The move of Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari changed the gravity of the paddock. It proved that no one is untouchable and no partnership is forever. Max realized that if the greatest driver of all time can leave Mercedes, then he can certainly leave a struggling Red Bull. The catalyst was the lack of transparency about the 2026 engine. Max asked for numbers and he got excuses, he asked for performance and he got promises. That was the moment he started looking at the exit signs. He is not just a driver, he is a brand, and a brand cannot be associated with a failing product. If he stays and finishes 5th or 6th for 2 years, his value drops. His legend fades. He knows that to stay at the top, he has to be in the best seat, even if that seat is in a car that is currently behind him on the grid. He is betting on the future and he is betting against the team that made him. The strategy is clear: use the performance clause to break the contract, wait for the highest bidder, rebuild the empire in a new colors. It is the most ambitious plan we've ever seen from a driver in the prime of his life. He is not waiting for the decline to happen. He is jumping before the ship hits the iceberg. Don't believe us? The numbers from the last 3 practice sessions prove that Max is already driving like a man with one foot out the door. He is testing the limits of the rules, not the car. He is looking at the telemetry of his rivals more than his own. He is studying the landscape for his next big strike. Every lap he takes in the blue car is just a rehearsal for his next act. The countdown has started, and the world of F1 is about to witness a shift in power that no one is truly prepared for. Look at this graph. This is the definitive proof of the decline. We are looking at the telemetry from the 2026 Spanish Grand Prix, specifically turn 10. This is a heavy braking zone that leads into a complex technical section. In 2023, Max Verstappen was a master here. He would rotate the car with a single violent input and be back on the power before anyone else. But look at the white line representing the car of Max in 2026. It is jagged, it is hesitant. Compare that to the orange line of Lando Norris. The McLaren is a smooth curve of pure efficiency. Norris is carrying 5 miles per hour more through the apex, while using 15% less battery deployment. This is not a matter of opinion, it is physics. The car of Max is fighting itself. Every time he tries to lean on the rear tires, the hybrid system delivers a surge of torque that the chassis cannot handle. It is like trying to perform surgery with a sledgehammer. The gap between Max and the rest of the pack in these slow corners has not just narrowed, it has completely vanished. In fact, the data shows that Max is now only the 7th fastest driver on the grid when it comes to technical cornering. The evidence of this struggle is not just on the screen, it is in the ears of the engineers. We have managed to verify reports from several sources inside the team of Red Bull regarding the post-race debriefs. In a closed-door meeting after the race in Miami, Max was heard describing the new power unit as a box of bolts. He was not being hyperbolic, he was describing the lack of harmony between the Ford combustion engine and the electric motors. He reportedly told the team that he cannot predict what the car will do when he hits the DRS zones. This is the ultimate nightmare for a driver who built his career on absolute confidence. When the trust between the driver and the machine breaks down, the lap times are the first thing to suffer. This friction is causing a massive ripple effect. The engineers are trying to soften the power delivery, but that just makes the car slower on the straights. It is a zero-sum game that Red Bull is losing. Max is trying to compensate by being even more aggressive on the brakes, but that just overheats the system faster. It is a perfect trap. The king is being held hostage by his own crown. But is there a way out, or are we looking at the final act of the Verstappen dominance? The proof is in the data, and the data is about to get even more specific as we compare the top 3 side by side. We have seen Jos Verstappen leaving the motorhome of Mercedes 3 times this week, and that tells a story that no press release can cover. The family's looking for a way out because they know the current project is a dead end. The frustration is visible in every gesture. Every late night spent on a simulator is not just for fun. It is a search for the feeling of control that the real car no longer provides. What happens if Max decides he has had enough? There's a growing consensus in the paddock that the famous exit clause in the contract of Verstappen is about to be triggered. This clause is specifically tied to the performance of the power unit. If the Red Bull Ford engine stays outside the top 3 in thermal efficiency, By the summer break, Max is a free agent. Imagine the chaos that would cause. We are looking at a potential move to Ferrari to join forces with Lewis Hamilton in a super team, or perhaps a jump to Aston Martin to finally work with the resources they have built. Our predictive model shows that if you put Max in the current Ferrari, his ranking would jump back to number one instantly. But we are ranking the drivers based on their current reality, not a fantasy world. In the world of 2026, Max is a giant with his hands tied behind his back. He is performing miracles just to stay on the podium. But miracles do not win championships in the long run. The strain of this battle is visible in every interview. The fire is still there, but it is starting to look like a fire that is burning him out rather than fueling him. The truth is out. Max Verstappen has finally signaled that his time at Red Bull is coming to a close, and the world of Formula One will never be the same. This is not an ending, it is the start of the most chaotic transfer season in history. Max is currently 28 years old. He has 3 world titles and nothing left to prove. He has openly talked about his lack of interest in racing until he's 40. If Red Bull cannot give him a car that rewards his talent, we might be looking at the early retirement of the greatest talent of a generation. The identity of the sport itself is at stake. For years, Max has played the role of the ultimate villain for some and the hero for others. Losing him means losing the character that everyone tuned in to watch. The grid would lose its sharpest edge. The Orange Army might have to find a new hero sooner than they thought. Is this the end of the road for the dominance of Verstappen, or is this just the dark night before a new dawn with a different team? Is Max making the right choice by leaving his empire behind, or is he walking into a Ferrari-sized trap? Let us know in the comments, because your perspective on this new era is what keeps the conversation going. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and see our full breakdown of the 2027 grid next week, join the community by subscribing right now. We will see you at the next Grand Prix.